Welcome back to the workshop.
Welcome back.
You've read the title of the video?
You know what we're doing?
Let's get into it.
My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together.
And make your own gear knob kit.
There you go.
This might take a while.
Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one, this is Project Mosquito.
It jumped.
No, it dug in.
Do you need paraffin?
No, I think it'll be alright.
Yeah, real.
Oh, careful.
Has this cocked over?
No. Okay.
Absolutely stunning, that. Well done. That must have been tough. Dad's like, oh, we'll start off with something easy.
Something easy, yeah. And the trouble I had is, as the tool cuts in, it cuts on both sides. And because the lathe isn't very good, the headstock bearings aren't the best thing in the world. It was tearing the aluminium, but it's worked out nice.
Yeah, really proud of that. If you're wondering what it's inspired by, well, for a start, now you know why a couple of weeks ago I made that thumbnail that was weird that had the circles in the background. Hinted to hint, hint, hint. But also, it's a reference to two things, mainly. One is RAF roundels on planes, because obviously we've got lots of like drillium and aircraft inspiration in the car, and this is another hint to that. But also, it's a hint to the Amilcar C6, which is one of my favourite cars of all time. They're an absolutely beautifully handmade car, built in France in the late 20s, and they have a 1.1 litre straight six, but they are pretty much one of the most beautifully hand finished things ever made, in my opinion. And yeah, Amilcar did like roundel style pedals, but the C6s had long pedals like this. Super, super happy. Last week, a few people asked about widths and heights for the pedal box and how we got those measurements. Quite simply, measuring your feet, or more precisely, your shoes. Now, these are Dad's driving shoes, and these are some boots that I wear a lot. And so, obviously, day-to-day type boots, so these are boots that I'd drive this in. I intentionally chose something that's very different than Dad's little ballet slippers, so that we get like a good cross section. And obviously we've both got very big feet. I have very wide feet, so that gives you your widths and your heights and all that kind of thing. And then your pedal box is literally custom tailored to your dimensions.
Tried a bit of grease, now try a bit of candle wax.
So is it better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Good. There we go. Thank you, comment section, for suggesting candle wax. We were having a bit of an issue where it was just starting to tear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't cutting cleanly, which on a circle looks a bit bad. But
Yeah, not a thing I've ever used. Been turning for 40 years
yeah,
and never used candle wax. So that's a first. So it just goes to show you're never too old to learn something new.
yep. You keep getting them just a little bit better each time. Just a little bit nicer, a little bit nicer.
So these are our needle roller bearings. They're all in individual packets, so I'm just checking they're all the same. So there are our bearings. So the high pressure pedals, which is the brake and the clutch, we're going to be using these bearings. We're going to use a nylon bush for the throttle because there's very little pressure on it. So
The thing is, all a throttle pedal does is compress a couple of springs and pull a cable. There's no real demand on it. You know, all you're doing is opening that butterfly on the throttle body.
or throttle bodies. So we've drilled our brake pedal, we've drilled it all the way through. Even though these are 10mm wide, it's almost impossible to drill it from one side, turn it around and drill it from the other, and to get them to line up.
With the kit
we've got. So we've drilled them all the way through. I've made a little aluminium spacer, which pops in there. And then we've got the other bearing. That fits in there. So we've done the brake pedal, so we'll do the clutch next. Better. So there we have our bearings. We need to make some thrust washers to go on either side of here now to nylon. To give us the correct spacing for the master cylinder. Because these are 30mm, the master cylinders are 35, so we need a 2.5mm thrust washer on both sides to make up the distance. Our kit of parts is slowly coming together. We've made our pedals, our foot pedals.
Our grippers.
Yeah, our grippers, yeah. So obviously clutch, brake, accelerator. We've made the start of our side pieces. We've now got some stainless, 12mm stainless steel shaft that will serve as a spindle for the whole assembly. We've put our roller bearings in. So there's a 10mm roller bearing on in this side, a 10mm spacer in the middle, and the bearing from the other side. I don't know if you can see that. And also we've got a brass bush for the clutch master cylinder. We've done the same with the brakes. So we've got needle roller bearing in, a 10mm spacer, and another needle roller bearing. So it's super strong. It should last for years and years and years. Because it's just it's a roller bearing. So once it's well lubricated on the shaft, it'll take extreme pressure off the brake pedal, and it will last an awful long time.
Yeah.
And unlike a plastic bush, over time they tend to, because it's on a brake pedal, they tend to wear like an oval or an egg shape. You know, the back of the bush gets compressed. This way it should last an awful long time.
Yep.
And give years of reliable service.
Now we need to do a throttle bearing.
So we need to do a throttle bearing next, and we need to start the shaft. So what I need to do is drill and tap the end of the shaft, 6mm, square it up and make a washer to go on the outside so I can put a countersunk screw in. we're tapping this now, 6mm. So I can now put the countersunk bolt and the little end cap I've just made. I'll hold the shaft in its position. So that's our end stop for our shaft. We've got our little thrust washers. I've made these a sort of tight fit so they slide down. And there we have the start of our pedal box. So that gives us our 108 to there, and our spacer.
$56.
56.
Bit of a snug fit.
That's it.
You might notice all of our hardware for this project, just like the shifter, if it's not aluminium, it's stainless steel. And the reason for that is you don't get the same galvanic reaction. Because one of the big problems that you face with dissimilar materials, not just metals, but dissimilar materials, is galvanic corrosion. So for example, carbon fiber and aluminium hate each other. It's one of the reasons why all road bikes now come with carbon fiber handlebars, because the carbon frame and the aluminium handlebar hated each other, and aluminium handlebars used to rot away. And we're not using steel fittings, we're using stainless steel, because you get a lot less galvanic reaction, especially when there's a little bit of grease and things are well maintained. This is out of the weather, it's not going to get salt water on it, it's not going to get water on it, and so it'll be fine for decades. You'll often find aluminium and stainless steel together in things like masts and stuff like that on yachts and stuff. It's yeah, it's just the best way that we can do it, and well, it should be fine for, like I said, decades to come.
Need one of them.
One of them?
One of these.
One of them what? A divider, you mean?
Yep. Cut this one down now. Chop that off.
So our next job is to make sure this is all square. So we need to finish this shaft off, really. And then that way, it's all square to this front panel. And then we can drill for our master cylinders. That's why we've only done one so far. Because these two faces need to be perfectly square to each other. A master cylinder has a little bit of movement in it, but you don't want any real side load on them, and you don't want them to be on an or loaded on like an oblique angle like that, if you will. The less stress you can put on a master cylinder, the better. And because we've got our balance bar puts a tiny little bit of side load in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As it adjusts the bias.
Yeah.
But these are not a structural thing.
Well, inside base of the piston is just, it's like a cup. And the rod has got a ball end on it, which allows it to pivot like this. But what you don't want is it to push the piston on an angle like that in the cylinder, because that'll cause premature wear. You want the piston to push from as close to the centre as possible. A little bit's all right because of the ball, but a lot, if you put an extreme angle on, you know, if you made the push rod on an angle like this, it would literally push the piston in on a cocked angle.
Yeah, and you're breaking your master cylinder for nothing, basically.
You're basically causing lots of premature wear, even though it is in a bath of oil, because you're putting side loads on, and you don't want to do that.
Having this rod here longer obviously helps to reduce that angle, right? But you're also creating greater leverage.
Yeah.
So the best way to do it is to have no angle on it or no side load on it to begin with. And then if you introduce a little tiny bit, it's not so bad. And that's why we're trying to get it absolutely squared up and spot on first.
So literally you can see how many components goes into a pedal box when you start pulling it all apart.
Well, this is one of the beautiful things that people have said in the comments, actually. They didn't realise how much work went into things. And that's the reality of what we want to show on this channel, is how much work actually goes into things. We love showing the work. I know a lot of people, and it's a creative choice, but a lot of YouTube channels tend to like overly montage everything. And it's like chop, slice, chop, CAD drawing, done. But because we put in the work to make the stuff, we want to show you how much work these things take.
It's a bit like maths at school where you've got to show the working out.
Yeah.
The old adage, measure twice, cut once. Well, in this case, it's measured about 6 times and cut once because it's a full lot of work to mess up.
Now, in the comments of last week's video, bleeding the brakes was mentioned, so I'm going to mention it here. You'll notice, I'll try and answer everybody's questions at once. You'll notice that this hole and this hole are different lengths from the center of the master cylinder. That's so that you can sit the master cylinder at an angle like this. It can be in this position, but it can also be clocked, so they can sit like that. That way, by the time you've put a fitting on the end of both of these, those are the 2 highest points in the master cylinder. So any air that's in the master cylinder will end up in those fittings. Now on our car, because we are using a dual master cylinder setup, it's unlike a production car. In a production car, your front and your rear brakes are basically the same system. Our brakes are completely separate systems. So the front brakes are a completely separate system to the rear brakes, which allows us to then get our biases correct and stuff like that. But it means that when we bleed them, we bleed the front brakes together and then the back brakes together. You don't blade one front brake and then one back brake. If I turn the wheel like this, you'll notice, as on all cars, on all brake calipers, you've got a bleed screw on the top of the caliper. And we have our brake line, and of course our brake lines will be changed out to braided ones. But then, unlike other cars, we have our pedal box down here. And our pedal box being underfoot means that the brake master cylinders are on the bottom of the pedal box. So basically, our master cylinders are on the floor, right? Compare that to like an MX-5, because it's easy to do because we've basically got the same wheel diameters. So on an MX-5 or a Miata, your brake caliper is exactly the same distance from the floor, but your master cylinder is up here. Literally, like it's above your suspension. So it's about there. And so when you bleed your brakes, all the air's up here and you've got to pump it down there. Whereas we won't have to do that. We're in the very nice situation where our pedal box is massively lower than our caliper. So any air that's in the system will naturally migrate up towards the bleed screw. And we'll have 3 reservoirs for our master cylinders. One for the front brakes, one for the rear brakes, and one for the clutch, because the clutch is hydraulic. And it's the same situation at the rear, where we've got the caliper massively higher than our master cylinder. So our reservoir's a really nice high point, and our bleed screw is a really nice high point. It's basically the dream scenario for bleeding brakes. Watch continuity, people. Yes, I have changed my watch. There are people that will notice. My battery's run out on me though. So mechanical it is. You have to take the little rubber bands off the outsides, or have you already done it?
I've already done it.
We've seen an absolutely massive uptick in subscribers lately, which is amazing because we're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. So thank you to everybody that's been subscribing. You're awesome. Deeper than it's designed to cut, yeah?
Okay, so there we have it. Our master cylinders all line up beautifully.
Well, Dad, we're all out of time for this week.
Yeah, but it's been well worth it, I think. We've now got all our kit of parts.
It was an absolutely massive amount of turning on your part.
Yeah, we've got
this video really was the turning video. People have been asking for it and you finally got it. So you better click like.
Yeah, tons of work. I think the pedals have worked out really. The foot plates.
Yeah.
Foot plates.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Yeah, the part like record. Like a musical record, the part RF roundels, they're gorgeous. I'm so happy with them. And next week we get to make it all look that good. Because here's the thing, so far we've made some really pretty stuff for our car, but the best is yet to come. Like now we get to get into the really nitty gritty of it.
Really good stuff, yeah.
And don't worry, it's going to get lighter as well.
Yeah, it's a bit overweight at the minute.
It's a bit agricultural looking.
Yeah.
But it shall be pretty. Nothing leaves this workshop that isn't pretty, including myself. That's why I live here. So yeah, let us know what you think down in the comments. Let us know whether you like it or not. What do you think of the grippers? You put a lot of attention into these grippers, didn't you, to make sure they weren't too sharp?
Yeah, because they're not too sharp. Obviously, because you don't want to destroy your shoes. Each little point, it isn't a point, it's got a flat on it. So you can literally rub your finger on it without being shredded, yet it's super grippy.
That's it, it's such an aggressive design that you were concerned about your little ballet slippers, weren't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, your foot can rotate on them really nicely, but yet front to back, they've got tons and tons of grip.
Tons of grip, yeah.
So they should be really nice for heel towing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, super happy with them. So yeah, tell us what you think down in the comments below. And a massive thank you to absolutely everybody who's been subscribing. We've had a huge uptake in subscriptions lately. It's a free thing that you can do that really helps us. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks very much.
We're on the cusp of 15,000 and you're really helping us get there. Every single one of you makes a difference. So don't think that you on your own, clicking like, clicking subscribe doesn't make a difference, because it really does. And every single one of you that shares these videos on social media, absolute legend. And if you've watched 87 episodes of us talking about Mosquito and this stuff, and you still want more of us, then there's Patreon. And over on Patreon, it's the price of like a chocolate bar. You can unlock deleted scenes, spoilers. Every now and then we do a little sit down, a little chat.
Unseen footage.
Unseen footage. We've talked about like what cars we'd buy if we won the lottery, all sorts of stuff, and that's all over on Patreon. And you don't just unlock like the month; you unlock everything we've done on there so far, which is at this point like hours of stuff. So if you want hours of stuff for the price of a chocolate bar, that's down in the comments. I really want to make that into a service. I know a lot of people are just like, oh, if you fancy, buying me a pint, but I don't just want to ask people for money.
We don't want something for nothing.
No, but all mainline Mosquito stuff will always be free, so don't worry if you can't afford it. We understand completely. I was once a young kid on the internet and wanting to watch stuff and couldn't watch stuff, and it really upset me when people paywalled stuff, and we will never paywall mainline Mosquito stuff, so don't worry about that. If you can't afford it, then you're not missing out on that much, but if you can and you want to, it's there. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other.
Oh, don't forget, leave us a comment.
Yeah, tell us what you think, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Stay for the beauty shots and the credits.